One moment is all it takes. Hot stoves tipping over. A story you must watch to protect you and your children from a kitchen catastrophe.
Welcome, everyone, to American Journal. I'm Michelle Dabney-Perez.
And I'm Charles Perez. Good to have you with us today. Now, most Americans are busy in their kitchen preparing their holiday turkey. And there's a good chance you may be cooking on a freestanding stove. Well, listen up, because far too often little kids unintentionally cause these 130-pound stoves to topple over, and the burns they suffer are beyond description.
Perhaps almost as disturbing is that this kitchen calamity is easily avoidable. So why then are these stoves tipping on kids year after year? Our Jeff Goldblatt investigates that in this American Journal special report, and the pictures he brings us are disturbing.
For many families, the kitchen is the heart of the home.
They were just kids playing, messing around, and they don't know any better.
But for Stephanie Moran and her sons, the kitchen is a place filled with painful memories, memories as raw as little Jamie's skin.
He was burnt so bad that his skin was just starting to peel off.
2 years ago, Stephanie was boiling chicken to make soup. She left her sons alone in the kitchen for a moment. A moment was all it took.
I was in the living room and I heard a loud crash.
That sound, seared into Stephanie's memory, was the family's heated stove landing on her son, the boiling water spilling on Jamie, and changing his life forever.
He got in the middle of the stove, he got on right here, and he put his other leg on, and then I got right here on the side, and he got burned all over him.
Were you crying?
Yeah, no, I was screaming.
So how is it that a toddler can topple a heavy stove? American Journal has found it's been happening for years, leaving children across the country burned, maimed, and sometimes dead. All these tragedies could have been prevented with the proper installation of this simple metal clip, a clip that at most costs $1. Without it, this is what can happen. Even a small child can turn an oven door into a lever. Just watch as these kids tip a stove we set up in our studio. If we weren't there to pull them away, the kids could have easily been hurt.
There's no excuse to not eliminate this problem.
San Antonio attorney Dan Sciano has represented dozens of tip-over victims.
There's a room full of documents from stove tip-over cases.
He says manufacturers can do more to prevent this kitchen catastrophe.
It's ridiculous. The people that were involved in stove design were also involved in such issues as sending people to the moon. If this was a priority, it would be fixed.
In an attempt to fix this household horror, stove manufacturers decades ago developed the metal safety clip. It's supposed to be screwed into a wall or the floor, then your stove slides into place and the clip should hold it down. Sounds easy enough, but the industry only began to distribute the clips 6 years ago. And in many cases, the clips are either not installed properly or at all.
The bracket, as we understand it, is 100% reliable.
Marion Stamos works for the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. She says a stove was never designed to be a jungle gym, but emphasizes the industry is not ignoring this danger.
Because it's being misused, I think the manufacturers have a shared responsibility to respond to that as best they can, but I think that the people who own the ranges have a responsibility as well.
Throw it. Don't tell that to Eddie Villarreal and his daughter Jenny.
I don't want another little kid to go through anything that I've been through.
This 15-year-old is a spirited survivor of a hellish battle that began more than a decade ago.
Me and my sister were playing around in the kitchen, and I was messing with the oven.
But that hot oven didn't have any anchoring clips. It toppled over, trapping Jenny's arm inside, literally baking it off.
The hand was not there. It was just like an arm. It was all brown and burnt and everything. There was no hand there.
The Villarreal sued the manufacturer and won. But Jenny's dad didn't stop there. he became a crusader.
I'm still angry. I'm angry to this day.
Eddie inspected stoves throughout his hometown of San Antonio, targeting the public housing complexes where he worked. He says he found many stoves weren't installed correctly.
I went to these guys and I told them, I said, look, you know, this is a story of what happened to my life and Jennifer's life, and these need to be installed, and they never installed them.
A few years later, there were 2 stove tip-overs in city-owned apartments, and 2 burned youngsters fighting for their lives. So have things changed? We recently spot-checked stoves at 4 San Antonio-owned apartment complexes, and considering the city's previous accidents, made some startling discoveries. Look at this. It didn't take long to find an unattached stove just waiting to fall. And at another housing complex, again, an unattached stove. If you look behind this stove, there are clips and even installation instructions. Well, it looks like no one followed them. All told, nearly a third of the stoves we randomly checked weren't held down by clips. We took our findings to the Housing Authority's Vice President Gilbert Gonzalez, who told us the city already issues warnings and conducts inspections.
I would be very concerned based on what I saw in your video.
Our findings were so disconcerting to Gonzalez, he told us he plans to re-examine the city's entire stove installation program. But this problem is far larger than San Antonio. Look at this. I checked out my own stove here in New York. It's a good thing a child didn't find this first.
This could have been prevented. It would have taken somebody, 10 minutes and cost them $1. And it could have saved my son, from being scarred the rest of his life.
A second is all it takes for this tragedy to happen, so check your stove when it is not in use and not hot to be sure it is properly anchored down. Now, for most ranges, you can pull out the bottom drawer and take a flashlight and look behind the corners to see if the brackets are installed, or you can gently push on the edge of the open oven door, but be careful not to push too hard. That could break the door or cause the gas line to burst. Now, if the stove does tip a little, or if you see there are no clips installed, call the manufacturer. Give them the serial number or model number of your stove, which are usually found right on the back of the stove, and ask them to send you an installation kit. You'll then probably have to install it yourself or hire a handyman to do so. Now, should you have more questions, you can call the Association of Appliance Manufacturers at 312-984-5800 or check their website at www.aham.com.